Sometimes you just don't see a hit TV coming. Could this be one of those times? Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and welcome to my review of the Hisense U7G TV. Now, if we look back on Hisense's TVs from the past few years, then there are a few things we can reasonably expect going into the U7G. We know it's the second best LED LCD TV the company makes. We know it doesn't have mini LED backlights like some of the fancier TVs, but probably has a lot of dimming zones. We know Hisense's processing has been decent, if not anything to write home about, and we know that the TV will aim to get very bright. We also have the Hisense U8G, which I reviewed not too long ago, and it was a pretty good value, so it stands to reason the U7G will be too. But does the U7G have any surprises up its sleeve? That's what we're gonna find out today. I'll cover everything from the setup to the picture quality, and we'll even toss in some performance numbers on our way to determining if this TV might be one you should buy. And if I do this right, we'll have a little fun along the way. Before I dig in though, I wanna point out that the U7G is available in 55, 65, and 75-inch options, and currently selling for $850, $1,000, and $1,400 respectively at the time I'm shooting this video. To put a fine point on it, that's a 65-inch TV for $1,000. Now, I'm hoping those prices hold firm, but right now, who knows? A lot of you are frustrated with TV prices going up, and I get it. The TCL 6 series is a great example. So my question for you is, what do you think about that? Do you understand why TV prices are going up instead of down right now? Leave me a comment about that below so we can talk about it. And while you're down there, please smash the like and subscribe button if you like this video, because we're growing, but not as fast as we could with your help. I repeat, I need your help. So do it. Thanks as always. All right, let's do this. So just in case there's any confusion, the Hisense U7G replaces last year's H8G. The numbers shifted around, but the U7G this year sits just below this year's U8G. And I liked the U8G. I think it was a fine TV, but I have much stronger feelings about the U7G, and you'll want to stick around to the end to find out why, because the why is pretty important, I think. By the way, not to add more confusion to things, but the U7G model number, that's just for North America. Like the U7G in Australia, completely different TV, so keep that in mind. Okay, we'll start with the user interface, and I mentioned this stuff in the unboxing video, which is right here, by the way, in case you want to watch, but be sure to come right back here for the good stuff. Anyway, Hisense hasn't made the jump to Google TV yet, so you get an Android TV interface, and it's fine. I mean, everything you need is here except for maybe Apple TV Plus, and it's easy enough to navigate. What I really like about the user interface though is the ease of setup. Once you choose a picture preset for SDR or HDR in one app, it will copy that to other apps. And in fact, it uses that picture preset for all the HDMI inputs if you want it to as well. So once you really figure out what picture settings you like the best, you don't have to go into a ton of apps or each HDMI input and customize everything. It's all copied over, and I really think that's a big deal for everyone, not just those of us who are super picky about picture quality. It makes it easier to get the best picture for everyone, and that's a win. As for other tangibles, I think the TV looks fine. I'm not a huge fan of the big silver strip at the bottom. I'm also over logos. I think it's better for someone to ask, what TV is this? And then you can be all, it's a Hisense, and then enjoy the surprised look on their face when they realize you know one of the better kept secrets in the world of TVs. But anyway, the look of the TV is fine. The remote is also fine. It's got a voice button on it, but if you don't mind Google listening, there's a built-in mic on the TV too, which you can shut off. But if you leave it on, you can just yell, hey, Google Assistant, and the TV will do your bidding. And that has me wondering, how many of you enjoy talking at your TVs? Special comment request, let me know about that down below. As for the sound quality, it's not great. Now, it isn't terrible. You can hear what people on the TV are saying, and that counts for a lot these days, but the sound quality does not stand up to the picture quality, and I would recommend a soundbar, even a simple one, to get a bit more oomph out of the experience. Now on to everybody's favorite part, picture quality. And before I get into my takeaway, I want to go ahead and throw in a section I'm going to call Numbers for Nit-Nerds. Now you can skip this part if you aren't into nits and such, but maybe stick around, you might learn something new. So this TV has a theater night and a theater day setting. Turns out the real difference between the two is that for theater night, the backlight setting is at 35 by default, and for theater day, it's set at 80. And that's really the only difference. The color temp is the same, that would be low, which is Hisense speak for warm, and the local dimming is set at medium. So I check peak luminance for both settings, and with theater night, it came in at 283 nits in SDR. Theater day bumped that up to 566 nits in SDR. And I think that's great. You get just a bit brighter than traditional SDR peak for theater night, and you get a juiced up image for theater day that can take on some ambient light in the room. And there's headroom. You can turn up the backlight even further if you want, but I wouldn't do that for SDR because it will elevate the blacks a bit. For HDR, I got between 930 and 950 nits depending on how long I had been testing peak brightness. So just under 1,000, which I consider a good measurement for a TV in this price class. That's definitely enough to pull off HDR pretty well, but it isn't gonna blast you out of the room, and that's a good balance for me. I did run into a few surprises though. One was that the HDR standard mode actually didn't peak as bright as HDR Theater by about 100 nits. It was 100 nits lower. I didn't see that coming. The color temp was cooler, but it wasn't brighter, which is weird because the standard mode is almost always brighter. Also surprising, the 2-point grayscale out of the box was impeccable. And I don't just mean on point for Hisense, I mean the grayscale was Sony A80J OLED levels of accurate right out of the box in the theater night mode, no adjustments made. It was a little heavier on the red in the theater day mode with the backlight juiced up a bit, but still totally acceptable. So I thought to myself, I bet the color is gonna be insanely accurate. And guess what? It wasn't. Normally, accurate grayscale means the colors are gonna track well, but technically speaking, the TV has color errors into the visible spectrum. Are they egregious? Are they gross? No, actually they aren't, but they are more severe than I was expecting. Now, normally, my Nit-Nerds, this is where I would say something like, this TV would benefit from a professional calibration, but I just don't see the buyer of this TV doing that, blah, 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 blah. I'm not gonna say that this time. Some folks might wanna have this TV professionally calibrated, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let's step back and have a broader look at this TV. So here's the takeaway up front. I really like this TV. I mean, I haven't felt this way about a TV since I reviewed the first TCL 6 series. This just came out of nowhere for me, and I'm really pleasantly surprised. I actually had to check myself and be like, is it really that good in the grand scheme of things, or am I just abnormally excited right now? And ultimately, I answered myself and I said, self, your gut is serving you well here. This TV is awesome. You just have to explain why. So here's why. The backlight system is crushing. Actually, no, bad choice of words. The backlight system is slaying. There is almost no crushing of blacks actually, and the black levels themselves are fantastic, especially considering how bright the TV can get. I have a new favorite piece of content for checking black levels and shadow detail and blooming and halo all at once. It's on Netflix and it's called A Night on Earth. I watch it with the closed captions turned on and I will quickly learn just about everything I need to know. The great thing about this Netflix nature docuseries is that it's filmed almost entirely at night, hence the title. They use special cameras and technology to capture stuff at night that's never been seen in nature before. And so the show is extremely dark, except where it isn't, which makes for one hell of a torture test on a backlight. And let me tell you, the U7G passed the test with flying colors, or sometimes flying monochrome, but that's not a thing, so moving on. Virtually no perceivable blooming from the edges or halo around bright objects on a black background, the best test of which is around the closed captions, which were almost on a jet black background most of the time. I mean, I got through 2 episodes just watching TV like it was my job, because it is, and I was never upset at the backlight. So that's a huge win, especially for a TV of this price. HDR highlights were exactly what I expected. I think this TV tracks a little high on the brightness curve in terms of accuracy, but it's enjoyable. Reminds me of a Samsung TV in that regard, but honestly with better blacks for the price. HDR had pop, and I liked it. Motion was good. I did see a little bit of stutter and flicker with vertically panned shots, but it wasn't consistent, and it didn't happen often enough for me to get too upset about it. I mean, overall, the motion like I said, it was good. It's a 120 Hz native panel, and it does have effective motion smoothing if you need it for fast-moving content, but the motion never bothered me with that off, which I, again, count as a big win. Upscaling and processing in general was pretty good. The TV does not clean up noise as well as, say, a Sony, and you'll see a little bit of banding in low bit depth content from streaming services. It isn't going to make Bob Ross on PBS look like a 4K Studio Master, but it does fine. I mean, for the price, I don't expect much better. You'll have to pay a lot more to get better processing, so again, I'll hand it to Hisense for finding a good balance. Now on to color. And this goes back to what I said earlier. I don't think the average viewer is going to notice that the colors aren't perfectly true to spec. They aren't perfectly accurate by the measurements, but that isn't going to bother most people. However, if you are someone who wants the best performance but your wallet can't support your high-end tastes, get the U7G and then pay a little for a professional calibration, because with a little work, you can get the accuracy of much more expensive TVs and still spend way less than you would on an uncalibrated Sony, Samsung, or LG. Hell, this TV is even less expensive than the equivalent TCL by a long shot right now. Lest I forget about gaming, let's talk about that for a moment. This TV does support 4K 120 Hz. In fact, you pull up the Xbox menu and you get all green check marks. So you get those advanced features, and I didn't think you would get variable refresh rate, but when I turned it on in the Xbox menu, I didn't get any argument from the Xbox. So I'm not sure where we are there. There was no indication that it did support variable refresh rate, but the Xbox is not arguing. So not sure on that one. I'll leave a comment down below once I get a full explanation from Hisense. So if you are a hardcore gamer and you want everything your Xbox Series X or S or a fancy gaming PC can offer, then this TV is going to do pretty much all of it. For most people, this TV is going to be great for gaming regardless. The input lag is super low and the HDR images are fantastic. There's great shadow detail and very little motion blur. All the crucial elements are there for a great gaming TV. Bring it all together, and what we have here is the best TV you can buy under $1,000. Hands down. I'm gonna stand behind that even if it does creep a little bit above $1,000. This TV just gets so much right. It's a TV for TV enthusiasts who don't have big budgets. You can have exceptional picture quality and not spend a small fortune. I'll even go so far as to say I like this TV better than the step-up U8G, and that's mostly because of the price to performance ratio. The U8G has more colors and it gets brighter, but again, when you consider the price, I think the U7G is the better, smarter deal. All that's left to consider is longevity. How long will this TV last, and will you get good service if you need it? And I can't answer that right now. I think we still need a year or two to see what the public has to say about the longevity of the Hisense TVs they purchased 3 years ago. And besides, I think Hisense's manufacturing practices may have advanced since then. Hisense doesn't have the long-standing track record in the US that some other brands have, but if I'm judging from the quality of what's sitting in this room right now, I'd say go for it. The performance of this TV for the price is ridiculously good. The gauntlet has been thrown down, and now I can't wait to see what happens in 2022. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. Were you as surprised as I was, or did you see this coming? Let me know about your thoughts on the U7G down below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and here's 2 other videos I think you might like.